Hi guys, and welcome to the Always Wired Sportscast show. This is our second one, and this is the day after transfer deadline day. So enjoy all the thoughts and opinions from a Celtic, Liverpool, and Man United fan. Enjoy.
All right, good day, YouTube. Started the yeah. So what we got? No one's to lead us up.
Just want to talk a wee bit about the actual football over the weekend before we get into the nitty-gritty of the transfer business.
Aye, right, because there's some stuff to unpack there. What does it say in my notes? It says Maguire in big capital. At the risk of this turning into like a comedy routine, I'm really not trying to be funny or take the piss, but the guy's fucking terrible. I made a comment last week on the last sportscast, or the first show we did, I can't remember now, where I said he had a habit of marking his own players to get away goals. He went and did it again, only this time not only did he mark Luke Shaw, he full on tackled him with the ground. Like, Shaw would have cleared that, but he was so close to making a tackle or a clearance, and Harry Maguire takes him out. I'm honestly starting to think he's a double agent. He's been sent in for Leicester to screw with us.
Agent Maguire.
It can't be that bad on purpose. It's like a joke at this point. It's beyond funny. I don't even really want to talk about him, but I can't talk about that horrible result without bringing him up because he was terrible. And then, like, he took Kane out, and then Tenku took that quick free kick, and Maguire just stood looking at him like a big statue. When paired by, he was left. He tried. He's just not that quick. He tried to track back and take whoever it was out, but he couldn't get them in time.
Was it Son?
Son, aye.
Aye, he has a quick player. To be fair, I remember the exact player that you were talking about there. Aye, was it no Maguire that gave away the free kick as well?
Aye. He gave the free kick away, then stood staring at Harry Kane.
Aye.
I'm pretty sure Maguire was like at fault for like 4 of them at least.
By my count,
aye.
He get nutmegged for Son's second goal. And the pass, they set Son up, nutmegged Maguire, and then Son nutmegged the hair. And I was like, this is just cruel. Just cruel.
In one of them, there was a parry, and it went back out. And then Maguire just stands right in front of De Gea. Like right in his view.
He's honestly so laughably terrible. Nobody played well in that game. But if you go back and watch some of the highlights, you see Bailly made some blocks, some key blocks and some key tackles at least.
He made two brilliant blocks back to back at one
point. Yeah, 2 consecutive blocks.
Aye,
a tackle after that, or just before that. So he tried, but nobody was very good in that game.
But that's see sometimes you can take getting a hammering like if the team's just better than you, because there's times I've watched Celtic in Europe when we've been up against Barcelona and we've got leathered, but you see a lot of the players trying. Sometimes a team can get done on the day, but see if they're trying, like Eric Bailly was actually trying. You can't fault that. You can't really get mad at it.
You know what I like Bailly? I've made that abundantly clear. I think he's the best defender we have. And he tried, and when they brought McTominay on, he tried as well. And one of the things I like about him, I know you disagree with us quite a bit, Martin, but he's the closest thing to a leader we have in that team. He's like shouting at everybody else to try and like pick their game up, and he was losing his temper a bit. And that's the sort of thing I like him for. He's not very attacking minded, but if you're playing a game where you're not likely to be on the ball very much, he's good at winning the ball back. So he's not creative. And McTominay, aye. He's not terribly creative, but he's good at winning the ball back. He's good at a possession. You know what I mean? And
he showed that he cared about the club and about the badge.
His post-match interview was quite telling. He was fucking furious. You could see it in his eyes. He was raging because I think he's a lifelong United fan, and they come through the academy and stuff.
Yeah,
so that's one of the reasons I like him. I know he's not technically the same sort of skill set that your Pogba's or your Fernandes is, but he's a different sort of player. He would be in my team every week actually for that, because the closest thing to a leader we've got is McTominay. And then even he didn't come out that game looking very good. Nobody did.
No.
De Gea, I did nothing but defend De Gea, but some of them goals were quite soft.
And I feel it's quite telling when one of the most passionate about the game seemed to be the guy in the commentary box after the game, Patrice Evra.
That was heartbreaking.
Aye, because He looked at the players and none of them really gave a fuck. And then it was after the game it cut to Patrice Evra. You could see that guy's got a passion about the club because he's been there so long. He was there like I say, see like the age of him and like Vidic, like the kind of 2008 era. That was they were at that kind of special era before footballers became mercenaries. Because that's essentially what they are now. So I'm going to call them out for what they are. A lot of the time now, footballers are mercenaries and they'll just go to whoever pays the highest wage. And you've seen that this season with Everton. Because Everton, they are a big club, right? And they do have that big pool of fan base. But that type of club, would you expect somebody like James Rodriguez to go there if he wasn't getting paid stupid money? And would they be signing one of Napoli's better players if they weren't paying stupid money?
No.
It could be the stupid money. It could be that Ancelotti's a celebrated manager that obviously had some kind of vision.
No,
I don't really know with Everton.
But
how much money can they really afford to spend? Like on wages?
It's that way as well, but would Ancelotti be there if he wasn't getting a mega salary?
Well, Everton are owned by what's his name, Fushad Mashiri, and he's like a billionaire because he was on the board at Arsenal and then he left to go buy Everton.
Yeah.
So he's like pumping loads of money into it because they have spent a lot of money over the past few years. But like, would Ancelotti be there without the wage?
Because he sacked for Madrid, did they know? Maybe he went
to
maybe he went
to Bayern and then PSG.
No, maybe it was Napoli. No, was it Napoli?
Oh, it was Napoli. He was at
Napoli. That was his last job before Everton. Which, in that sense, now I'm reflecting on it like that, I can maybe understand the appointment of him going there.
Right, because he's been with Madrid. He'd been at Bayern. He'd been at AC Milan. I think he had coached Italy before. I might be wrong about that. The national team. So maybe he wanted to go to the Premier League, and he was at Chelsea as well, wasn't he? He was at Chelsea for a while. Maybe the idea of trying to build up a quote-unquote smaller team was an exciting project for him. I don't know. Because he's won everything. He must have made millions already, Ancelotti. So I can't imagine.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think he's a big name, so maybe Rodriguez wanted to work with him. I don't know. I don't know much about the structure at Everton, to be honest with you. I know they've started well. Played 4-1-4.
No, Everton was Everton was quite a bad example. I knew straight away after I kind of said that, I was like, well, Everton they are quite a big club. They've been around. I think they're like one of the only clubs not really get relegated.
They've
been in the Premier League, like the top division since time fucking began. So I didn't like using them as an example, but I think when you're getting some of the at one point one of the highest touted young talents in the world in James Rodriguez signing for a team whose biggest finish has been about 6 in the league in the past 20 years.
Maybe Rodriguez represents one of the things that's a recurring problem in football that I've touched on before, and that nobody had ever heard of him until he had that decent World Cup in 2014, and then bang, Madrid spent him, bought him for 65 million. I thought he might be an up-and-comer. He's got the sort of luck that Madrid would spend money on. Maybe he was never that highly rated to begin with. He just had a few decent games in a Colombia shot, and Madrid went full Madrid.
But before that, before he even had the World Cup, there was a lot of, I think, like Man United and all that were really interested in him when he was at Monaco, because he played really well over there in France.
I think we were interested in him after the World Cup, same as Madrid. So I'd never heard of him before that World Cup 2014. I don't think anybody did.
Nah, not really.
Like Monaco fans, they love knowing who he is. That's the sort of thing Madrid do, innit? They see somebody play well in a tournament that nobody's ever heard of and think, oh, maybe you could play that way for us, especially if they've got a certain look about them. Rodriguez has that sort of look about him. So maybe he was never that great to begin with. I don't know. And then Bayern bought him for the same reason. Like, oh, he played for Madrid and he did well in the World Cup. He must be quite good. He plays for Real Madrid. Go by him. And he never did anything at Bayern Munich.
He's a good player, but
he is. I'm not saying he's not talented. Maybe he was never that great to begin with.
No, I wouldn't say he was like Madrid level good.
No, I probably wouldn't either.
No, he's probably like the top end of what Everton player-wise would have.
Madrid are funny that way, aren't they? They don't give people a lot of chances. They sign folk with big promise and then drop them immediately.
I think Zidane has his favourites.
That's
if
evident.
you don't
I think
fit
Zidane
that
still
mold-
wants his team from a few years ago. It's just doesn't make much
They're
sense.
going to get Mbappe though. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah,
I would put good money on that. Because I was
I love
watching.
Mbappe 2020, but
He's never going to go to Liverpool. I don't think
No.
Liverpool would part with the money and the wages.
no, it would completely ruin the wage structure at the club.
In Klopp's philosophy in it, like he spends, but no, ludicrously does he spend.
No,
He spends the sort of what you'd expect the going rate for a good player to be, kind of like a top quality centre back.
You'd probably need to sell half the team
He will,
just to
right.
get him.
I mean, how much is Mbappe going to go for? He went to PSG for 140 million,
66 million or
something
aye.
crazy like that, and he's only getting better since then.
So he'll be at least 200 million.
We're looking realistically at 200 million. Liverpool's not going to drop 200 million on a single player.
No,
Nobody in the
not
Premier
even
League.
drop 200 million for the whole window.
Man City wouldn't even do that. Nobody in the Premier League would drop that on a single player. I don't think.
I'm unsure because it was something that I was thinking about saying today, and because I was looking at the amount of money it's been spent in the Premier League over this window, and it's something like 1.6 billion.
Where's all that even went though? Because it's been mostly loans. It seems like
it's been something right about that. It's been like crazy amounts of money that's been
Most
spent.
of that was Chelsea.
It's that way as well. A lot of these teams at the start of the year were furloughing their tea lady. But this is what I'm meaning. Like they're furloughing their tea lady, but they're still paying the likes of Jesse Lingard £100,000 a week. Ozil's getting £200,000 a week.
Ozil was getting 350 a week.
Right.
And he doesn't play.
He's getting £350,000 a week to just go essentially go to posh gyms and travel the country. And they've sacked their dinosaur. They've sacked their mascot.
I've seen that, the gunner saw.
You're
gone.
The way football was going now, it's ridiculous because we seen at the start of the year that they were begging the government for money, and then a couple of months later they were refusing to pay tea ladies. The tea ladies had to be furloughed, and now they're paying ludicrous amounts of money for all these players. Like this is kind of go to stop in a sense. It's becoming farcical, and the clubs are starting to rip the piss out the fans.
Not only that, which is all obviously correct, but the amounts of money that you're talking about that they're spending, it's always on like bang average squad players. It's never. You said it's been over $1 billion in this transfer window. And who's been like what great player has come to the Premier League in this transfer window for high money? Virtually none. It's always on silly squad players. Like they were talking about £50 million for Declan Rice. I mean, he never went, but that was the sort of fee that was being bandied about for him. Declan Rice, 50 million. You're a fucking brick, man.
And he's nowhere near worth £50 million.
No,
even his best.
I'm really glad that United didn't get Grealish and Madison because they were like 60, 70 million pound signings each allegedly for fucking bang average players. So I think that the amount of money that's being spent is insane. You're obviously right about that, but it's not even as if it's attracting huge quality names. Like when Madrid spend hundreds of millions of pounds, it's not on bang average squad players or euros. Sorry, it's never on bang average squad filler. It's on fucking world class galactical signings. At least that you can kind of understand. But the money that you're going about in the Premier League is by and large for stupid squad players, which you need. You need squad players, but you don't need to be spending £40 million a time on them.
I know. I think it's that way. See, since that new TV deals came in with Sky, I think that's wrecked football. I think it's wrecked English Premier League. Something needs to be done because you can't. I know I've already brought him up, but you can't have players like Jesse Lingard claiming £100,000 plus a week for David. You can't. It's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous.
That's one of United's biggest problems, which I was going to touch on because I want to talk about Cavani a bit. And there's been a lot of sort of negativity around his signing, right? At least on Twitter, anyway. Twitter is, as you know, a toxic cesspit of nonsense and stupidity. But the overwhelming majority of the comments I've seen about Cavani coming have been bad, and they're like, "Oh, he's an old man and he's on 200 grand a week." I'm like, well, that's a bullshit complaint, right? Because you can't complain about Cavani's wages because him being paid 200 grand a week isn't the issue. It's Jesse Lingard being on 150. It's Phil Jones being on 150. It's Smalling being on whatever he was on before he just got the sack. So Man United's wage structure is already crippled because they sign all the really average squad players to long-term deals for hundreds of thousands a week. So if you've got to sign Cavani, who is a world-class player, and he just fucking is, I'll not hear. I'm sick of the people on Twitter saying he's no. You can't expect him to come in and take less money than what Phil Jones is taking. The problem is no that Cavani's earning 200 grand, is that they've given Phil Jones 150. So
I think you've actually hit the nail on the head there. And what I've been saying, what I think what the Premier League clubs should do is they should set a maximum. Let's see a kind of standard wage. What your maximum should be 100 grand a week. But that's how much you can get. That's like your maximum flat out wage, and the rest there after that is made up by playing bonuses. Because players evidently they need an incentive to play, and the Liverpool game and the Man United game was just highlighted that massively for me. Because like you've seen the Liverpool games, and like I'm a Celtic fan, but I've got a massive soft spot for Liverpool. Liverpool's like my second team, and I was fucking embarrassed watching that. See the way they were walking through that defence, and nobody in that part gave a fuck.
you're absolutely right.
Why? And then you're sitting and you're getting angry, and you're like, why would they give a fuck? It doesn't matter what happens this game. They can get beat 10-0 from now to the end of the season. They'll still keep picking up their 150 grand a week. And and the issue we're having in football now as well is a lot of the players no longer live in the city. Because I was talking about this to my family today, like, because my family they live in Chester, so they live in Cheshire, and what they were saying is a lot of the Man United players and a lot of the Liverpool players they don't stay in Manchester and Liverpool anymore. They've moved to Cheshire, so it's not like you need to be in that city. It's not like you're there facing the music every day after that game.
Right.
Yeah.
But if that makes sense to you, they get away from it.
They can go and hide.
Aye, because they don't. It's that way as well. When you don't live there, you don't have the appreciation. You don't have that love for the city. You don't feel part of it. It's essentially just it is just another job. They just drive in for their wee country house out in the middle of nowhere. They drive in for training 3-4 times a week, and then they drive in for a game on a Saturday, and that's all the time they spend in there.
You're absolutely right. There's no passion, and it's even more annoying to me as a United fan because that's meant to be part of your thing, isn't it? Heritage, passion, and history. I think it was Hervé that said that. You can tell nobody that plays for that club now cares. I think with the sole exception of Scott McTominay, he seems like the only person that cares. Because I don't know if you watched this post-match interview immediately after the game. His mouth was saying one thing and his eyes were saying another. Like he wanted to put the heat on somebody. It seemed like it really upset him how badly everything went, but he was the only one. And then Rashford does what these modern players do. He come on and apologised on Twitter. We will do better. So you fucking will now, though, will you?
It's horrible. It's
horrible.
You've just been embarrassed. You've embarrassed the club. You've embarrassed the fans.
That's what that is.
A couple of words on Twitter, like a false statement that the club's probably wrote for you. But you know what I mean? It's not going to make a difference.
Yeah. Like that must be what United's worst ever defeat against Spurs.
That's Man United's joint highest ever defeat in the Premier League.
Aye.
Was that joint
the Villa one was ours? Ours was the worst ever. We've never conceded 7 before.
Was it joint with the Man City game?
It was. Aye. It was joint with the Man City game. So it was what you were saying earlier about Celtic. Like you can take your beating if the club is bigger than you. Like what you were talking about Celtic and Barcelona. But Man United are only weirder than Tottenham. Tottenham are smaller than Man United. That should never happen.
To quote Keane, everyone beats Spurs, and that is
it's true.
He said it as a joke, but Spurs failed to win 60% of their games last season. They're not this high rolling side. I know they've made a couple of decent signings, but how many of them are actually playing? Like the likes of your Bale. Bale wasn't on. Like if it was Bale, it was
mostly the same players as last season.
Aye, it was.
Can I just say thank absolute Christ that Bale wasn't on that again? That defence against Gareth Bale. I mean, Jesus.
Oh my God, I'd love to see Harry Maguire against Gareth Bale.
That's enough out of you.
Could you imagine Shaw chasing Gareth Bale down that wing?
No, I don't even want to picture that. But you're saying that, let's be real about Tottenham for a minute. They're not a high rolling team. I know they got that big fancy new stadium and they've got Jose Mourinho as their manager, the serial winner. But then they've got their shiny new documentary on Amazon, but they don't win anything. They're going on about the fact
I think the last thing they won was in 2008. Was it like the Carling Cup or something?
I think so, aye. And they keep going on about the fact, look how much they've improved. They were in the final of the Champions League. Yeah, they were in the final of the Champions League and they get shagged in that final. Yeah, who cares
about... They came like 6th or 7th, didn't they?
Aye, who cares about runners-up? They go to that final and they get pumped in it by a superior team.
It's that way as well. That highlights everything that we're saying. Like, they're celebrating essentially failure.
Exactly. Which I cannot be bothered with.
No.
I hate that mentality. I really do. Anybody would say, oh, look how well they did. They came second. It's like when United were saying, oh, look how good they did last season. They finished third. I remember the 05-06 season, Man United finished third. And everybody was going on about as if it was the worst thing the club had ever done. Because Alex Ferguson didn't finish third. Ever. He's either first or second. That was it. And when they finished third that year, Chelsea, it's when Mourinho built the new Chelsea. And we had Tim Howard and Roy Carroll as fucking goalkeepers. Talk about that. You laugh. Do you remember that? It was heartbreaking. Before Van der Sar, heartbreaking. And then United finished third and didn't win a trophy, and the media was going, oh, Ferguson's lost it, the team's imploding. But now they finished third, and everybody's like, oh, isn't that a great job? They finished third. That's half the problem, man.
It shows how far the standards have fallen. Like, you seen it with Ollie after the game. Ollie was all smiles. He was happy, and you're like, you're like, why? See, if that was me, I'd be chucking bottles at folk. But you would
probably did behind the scenes. Like, you could see it in his eyes. All his eyes were, his mouth was saying something, his eyes were saying something else.
I think that's just his general demeanour, though. He tries to put on the happy face.
Because compare him to Mourinho, right? When Mourinho was at United, he was always very public when he was upset with the players, and he lost the dressing room because of it. Because players are wee pansies now. He publicly criticised a lot of players as a collective and individually, and then lost the dressing room. Ollie's not wanting to do that. He'll be saying one thing in public and another thing in private.
It's that way. He doesn't need to really say anything. Like, see after the game, see after you've just been embarrassed 6-1, see having a big smile on your face, get up and shaking the opposition's hand like that. That's counterproductive.
I know what you mean, but that's just the sort of person he is, like, respectful. I guarantee you he wasn't all smiles behind the scenes.
Would Ferguson have been smiling?
Well, funnily enough,
actually,
it would have been, because it's funny you mentioned that. After that game finished, Sky Sports put up this 2-minute long clip, like their Sky Sports retro section, and it was the post-match interview with Alex Ferguson after the 6-1 defeat to Man City, and Ferguson was laughing and smiling in that interview as well. So Ferguson would have been laughing and smiling. But it's the same there. He was saying one thing publicly, he's saying it's a different thing in private. What's Ole going to do? Come out on live TV and go, my team's shite? No. Because he's going to lose the dressing room. He likes to maintain this air of order and stability about him. So he's always in his wee suit and his wee tie, no matter what the weather is. But behind the scenes, guaranteed, he'd have been kicking things at folk. I put money on it.
I don't think so. I think Ollie's part of the issue as well. I don't see if what I've seen him. See that defeat, it didn't look like he gave a fuck that they get beat the way they did. It just seemed like another day at the office. I could
go back. See if you can find a highlight of like his interview immediately after it and look at his eyes. Don't watch his mouth. Don't look at his smile. Watch his eyes. You maybe have a different opinion. You could tell it was in his eyes. I go back, if you can see if you can find highlights of it on YouTube or something and watch his eyes. I'm guaranteeing he wasn't happy.
Plus, these kind of freak results happen though, and it's hard to maintain like a complete consistency throughout the whole thing. But
consistency, you don't expect complete consistency. Nobody can win every time, but what you don't expect is to be 10-6-1 at your own home by an inferior team. Defeats happen. I accept defeats; they happen a lot, but that was a fucking embarrassment. And now I know how Arsenal fans feel, right? When Lingard used to dance at the Emirates, it was the only thing he was any good at.
I felt like 2 seasons he was doing it.
No, Son is at Old Trafford. I know how bad it feels. If you didn't laugh, you would greet. You know what
I mean? Quite an upbeat podcast, this one.
I couldn't even enjoy Liverpool's horrible defeat either because I was so goddamn angry for the rest of the day.
Let's just stick on United there. Let's leave Liverpool alone.
I'm happy to rant about Man United to the cows come home, man. I like it because I've got nobody else to talk to about it. My partner doesn't care. She audibly shivers if I mention the name Fellaini because I spent like 4 years just shouting abuse at Marouane Fellaini. I've moved on to somebody else.
It's actually funny we're mentioning overrated English players because I want to just touch on Joe Gomez. Scott, what happened?
You know what? I don't even know. Like, I usually kind of protect Joe Gomez because he's still like 22, 23. So I'm like, oh, he's still learning, and yet he's still this good. But yesterday, was it yesterday? No, it was the day before. No, he was just awful. Like, it's as if he'd like had 2 left feet. Like, he looked like an imbecile. and Adrian behind him. I remember screaming at the TV. He's having a bad game. Stop fucking passing to him.
Aye.
What's the point in that? He's having a terrible game. There you go, Joe. There's the ball with 3 players around you. Go do something with it. You moron. I'm pretty sure I'd screamed saying someone needs to put Adrian's head in a spike. I was furious.
I think you put that in our group chat, didn't you?
I did.
Aye, I think so.
I actually like that you bring Adrian up here because he set the tone for the game. Like, see in the 3rd minute, given the ball. Because a lot of people laugh at me, right, when I say Alisson is our best player. I say he's our most important player, and folk laugh at me and go, no, it's Salah or it's Van Dijk. And it's like, no, if Salah's injured, I think we'd be all right. Like, it'd be more than a if Van Dijk gets injured, I don't know. But when Alisson gets injured, as soon as I seen he was out for 6 weeks, my first thought was, fuck, but we are going to get leathered.
I tell you, I agree with you, and I'll tell you why. Because fairly recently I was looking, I'm not usually one for stats, that's never really been my sort of thing. But recently I went back over and I was looking at some stats for last season. I wish I'd wrote them down, but I didn't. And Van Dijk made more defensive errors than any centre-back in any of the big 6 teams last season. Yet Liverpool won the league by 33 points. Oh, 33 points above Man United even, however much it was above City. And similarly to that, Man United's front 3 scored more goals than Liverpool's front 3, yet he's finished 33 points ahead of us. So what does that tell you? That tells you that Martin's right. Alisson is your best fucking goalkeeper. Because if your supposed star centre-back made more mistakes than any other centre-back in the big 6, how did Liverpool win with such a high defensive margin? Martin's
like, even with that, I'm pretty sure it's just quite depressing. The fact that he's going to be out for another 5 or 6 weeks.
Right. We should have bought Sergio Romero.
We should have got Gazaniga from Spurs. He was going out on loan yesterday, but
did you no one ever brought it up?
Right.
Did you see the thing Romero's wife put up?
Aye.
She got a
promo on Man United.
Speaking of stats, though, I don't think Adrian's actually kept a clean sheet for us.
Oh, he's pish.
No, every time and it was weird because even he signed from West Ham, I thought, because I always quite liked him at West Ham. I thought he was decent.
He'd be a decent backup keeper.
But then I seen his first game because Alisson was injured for a couple of weeks last season.
Yeah, it was the Norwich game, the very first game. He got injured, and Adrian came in and basically conceded straight away.
Aye.
So I've got to say, that surprised me that Van Dijk made that many mistakes in the Man United's front 3 outscored Liverpool's front 3.
I think that's mainly because Van Dijk, because we have more possession most of the time. Like, he has the ball. I think he made like the most passes of any defender last season.
So reading that made me think that Martin's onto something there, but Alisson being your most important player.
I think it was highlighted as well in the Arsenal game because I think it was Lacazette. He waltzed through the defence twice because of defensive positioning. They were trying to catch him offside. They were trying to hold the line, but Joe Gomez was about 5 yards behind the line. But it was like the other dude was there and he was there, and this happened twice. And both times, Alisson had to make a really good save. And
he's a cracking goalkeeper. There's no doubt about that. He's an excellent goalkeeper.
Joe Gomez has a bad problem with, if the line's here, he will be here and just kind of right before the ball's kicked, jump back in line.
Aye.
And it just doesn't work a lot.
And
that's why we're getting caught behind.
People were saying there would be some competition for the Brazil #1 spot at their big tournaments now because of Ederson. I think that anybody that thinks that's smoking something funny. I don't rate that Ederson boy, man. Don't rate him.
No. He's got good distribution, to be fair.
Distribution game
is world class, to be fair. I think he is good. I do
not
think Alisson's better.
I'm not saying he's bad, but for anybody that thinks there should be competition between him and Alisson for the Brazilian squads is insane. His distribution is better than Alisson's. That's it.
But imagine
Alisson beats him in every conceivable aspect apart from distribution.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Ederson's better at long passing, and that's it. Alisson.
With the Brazil squad, you don't need long passing.
No,
Brazil keeper just passes it over to the right back, and then they go do their thing.
I think Ederson fits the Man City mould better than Alisson would.
He fits Guardiola's style of play. It'd be interesting to see if
horses for courses.
It would be interesting to me to see if Guardiola leaves Man City, if the next manager sticks with Ederson. To be quite honest with you,
Ederson's got quite a few mistakes in him, though.
He's got a lot of mistakes on him. He's not terribly confident one of them.
See when he runs out and then he boots the ball, he'll boot it to someone on the other team and leave an open net. He's got quite a bad habit of that.
Yeah. I blame Manuel Neuer. He
he loves being a sweeper keeper.
He sort of invented that, and now everybody else is trying to be Manuel Neuer. So you'll never be Manuel Neuer, mate.
No, there's a picture of Neuer basically on the center spot, just passing it around.
And it's that way. Yeah. It's been weird. See, since he got older, he's lost a wee yard of pace, Neuer. So he's had to adjust his whole kind of game because he went through a season or two when he was still trying to be that sweeper keeper and was fucking it, and then just conceding a shit ton of goals. So then that's what he was saying that he was by, but then he went on to win the Champions League. So again, what does Twitter know?
I might be wrong, but I think that's why him and Ancelotti didn't get on well, because Ancelotti was like, "What are you doing? stay in goal, you freak."
I can imagine, because it's one of the ones. See if they done that and you made a mistake, as I alluded to earlier, you would be chucking a bottle of some just in their direction.
Get the hairdryer out.
Aye,
full Fergie.
Full Fergie.
On Sunday night and Monday morning, suffering fit with depression. I was watching old highlights of Alec Ferguson, so I was trying to make myself feel better. Ended up watching his farewell speech and was nearly greeting.
Did you see the rumours circulating about what happened in the dressing room? Apparently, Bruno, the Man United one. Apparently, Bruno Fernandes. Let's see, because he gets subbed off at half time. Apparently, he had a bust up with Harry Maguire.
Hope he kicked fuck at him.
And he was apparently slagging him, saying, "Oh, you're not fit to wear the shirt. You don't get a fucking all that." All that kind of stuff. Let's see essentially what you're saying about Harry Maguire.
Fernandes? Who said that to who?
Bruno Fernandes was saying that to Maguire.
Oh, he was saying it to Maguire. I thought Maguire was saying it to him.
Allegedly, I seen it on Facebook, and you can't really believe everything on Facebook. But I just found it strange that he gets subbed at half time.
Try to shut up, show up, and damage limitation. Fernandes and whoever the other one was, I can't remember now. Greenwood, maybe.
Greenwood, I think.
And McTominay to try and stop the tide.
Yeah. I like the fact that Luke Shaw has been saying for ages, we need signings, and then Ollie's went and signed a left back.
Because Luke Shaw's pish. That's another one that came in years ago now, 2014, and he's going to be the next
6
big
years
thing.
He's been there, Jesus.
Aye, he came in 2014. He's the next big thing. £30
million, wasn't it?
Aye, 30 odd million quid,
Aye, for I actually remember Luke Shaw when he was younger and a bit thinner, and he had all the attributes to be a really solid centre half, a really solid fullback, but it just seemed that leg break and the kebab shop opening up in his street has really
I don't rate him as a player and never have. I thought he's fuck this, I'm annoyed, attempted murder tackle was hilarious. That should have been a red card.
That should have been a red card.
I don't remember who it was he took out, but he fucking minced him. It was hilarious.
Oh, who was it? Was it Son?
It might have been.
It was Lucas.
Lucas
Moura.
It was Lucas, aye, because Lucas is rapid, isn't he? He's really fast.
Shaw managed.
He got over it because KFC's on Deliveroo now. Or Just Eat or whatever.
I tell you this, Eric Lamela better put the one eye on. I tell you, if I ever see him in the street,
Eric Lamela. He's like Suarez without the skills.
I swear, if I ever meet him in the street, I'm going to put the heat in him.
That kind of brings back the conversation we were having about VAR last week, where the referees are looking at this incident and seeing it wholly wrong.
I know.
Competence is just highlighted so much more. Like, how could you look at that and go, wait, Martial has slapped him, he slapped Martial.
But it was so light. It was like...
It was a love tap.
Lamella's was so much
The
worse.
thing is, Lamella should have been off first.
Aye.
Lamella like sticks the elbow in his throat.
Aye.
Lamella elbowed Martial in the neck, and Martial went, "Fuck you then," and like tapped him in the chin, and then he went down like he had been shot. Fucking.
Did you see his face like a second after? It was like, he's just hit me in the face. Then he goes, oh no, and then goes down.
If that had happened to me, if I was Martial, it would have looked like I had done something wrong because I'd have stood on his face.
Aye, if you're going to get sent off, you're getting sent off.
I remember Roy Keane did that to Gareth Southgate once years ago. Southgate came in for like a horrible mincing challenge and like sort of missed, but kind of got Keane. And Keane looked at him, what the fuck you doing? And stood on him while he was down on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that,
He had the face up, he went like that.
Aye.
It's just stamped on him.
He looks down in complete bewilderment, and that bewilderment turns to fury really quick. Goes, fuck you then. Stones on him.
It's like something out of a movie, because I'm pretty sure Gareth Southgate looked up and went like that.
He's easily my favourite player of all time. I love Roy Keane so much.
We'll move away from the weekend's results
from the depression.
Well, I haven't had a chance to talk about Celtic's results yet, but it doesn't matter. Celtic won. We're the best.
If you win, you're always going to win. You're playing pub teams.
Oh no!
Unless you're playing Rangers or Hibs or Aberdeen, you're playing a pub team.
Martin, come on. All three of us could play for Hamilton.
Who?
All three of us could play for Hamilton Ackies.
Ah, but I don't. Then he is.
What do you mean I don't? I've not got my contract yet.
Hamilton Ackies were making phone calls on deadline down there for our Martin.
I'd rather stay always wired.
That's it. But we beat. We won 2-0 against St Johnstone away up in Perth. 2 late goals. See, if you want to talk about horrible challenges, you should see the one that was done on Patrick Klimala. He was basically scissor kicked, and it was a horrible challenge. But then he just gets up, runs and scores. Because up here we breed them hard. I say up here, like he's from Poland.
I was going to say that that's a very Scottish name.
Right. They're just a different.
You say they breed them hard in Poland, they're a tough fucking people, man.
They are. That's what you need. And because I was saying this about Celtic for ages. I was like, what we need, because everybody used to go on about our back line, and I was like, what we need an Eastern European at the back, because they'll fucking eat you. Like they come for hee-haw. They will go through a man.
Can confirm, we had Vidic.
Killed it. No, it's a mentality that they've got. They don't mess about. They're not like your Instagram hoes per se.
Why did you even on Instagram? Because I was.
I can dispute that we had Martin Skettle.
No, the same thing. One of these things is not like the other.
Martin Skettle would have killed you as well, to be fair.
Oh, he definitely had battered you, but he's never a good player.
Yeah, he would have had nails, but he wouldn't be able to pass to you.
Vidic could do both, so get you one that gets both.
Were they not like from neighbouring countries, Vidic and Skettle?
He did Serbian. So was Scotland.
And Skettle was like Slovenian?
Aye, they're pretty close together.
Aye, he's
one of the former Soviet Union countries.
Vladimir Weiss.
One of the former Soviet Union owned countries where they're raised on like tatties and despair, and they're just so much harder than everybody else.
They have steel mills in their back gardens where they need to make.
If you make a map, right, and everything west of Germany, see between Germany and Russia, everybody in their countries is hard as fuck. It's going to be the hardest place in the world.
But to be fair, Vidic's not brought up during a war.
Aye.
But they were brought up when they were like fucking with Bosnia.
Aye.
and they were trying to like genocide the whole of Bosnia. Is that when Vidic was growing up? Like, is that way? Some of these ones that come from like war-torn countries, they've seen some shit. So you can day to them in a football pitch is nothing compared to what they've been through.
I can't remember who it was against, but do you remember that game where Vida got like his head burst open or something? His face was covered in blood, and he refused to come off the pitch to get stitches. And then when Fergie finally talked to him to come off the pitch to get stitched up, he was sitting smiling while they were stitching up, and the blood had run down into his teeth. So while he was smiling, his teeth were all red with blood, and he's sitting like this, covered in crimson, and then he come back on and try to kill somebody. Brilliant. I missed that. He really would have ran through a wall if he thought it's what he was supposed to do.
Skittle did something like that. He needed stitches, but he just said, no, just staple my head back together. I need to get back on.
Who was that one?
Martin Skittle.
Oh, right. I see it's an Eastern European thing. So they're bleeding. They don't care. It's only blood. The body will produce more.
Alright, but even the statement, I don't need stitches, just staple my head back together.
Oh god.
So do you want to know a bit about the transfers? How did you feel your club's done during the window?
No great for Man United, but not for the reason that everybody else thinks it's no great. Right? Because Twitter had a fucking meltdown, like it always does. I mean, if you're one of them folk that complains on Twitter, you're probably a dick. Like, life is bigger than your phone. But say they were all like folk near suicidal because Jadon Sancho never came, as if he's going to fix anything. I've been over this.
I don't think he would change a single thing about United.
He wouldn't change a single thing. No, he just we need defenders.
Did any of you watch what the Sky Sports deadline day last night?
Most of it, aye. No, at the very end, but most of it during the day.
Not listening to like the likes of Harry Redknapp, who was saying that Man United's been the biggest losers in this window because they haven't signed Jadon Sancho.
That's what I mean. Aye, we haven't had a great window, but no for that reason.
That's like folk that have been around the football game like all their life, kind of sprouting this kind of stuff, and you're a bit like, come on.
It's a strange opinion. Like a 20-year-old for Dortmund that's never won anything in his life is somehow going to make all the difference to this terrible Man United team. Unless he's fucking Superman, he's not going to save us dropping 3 and 4 goals a game. I mean, see, here's my thing about Sancho was right. I try to think about it because I take emotion out of it, but right, just because I like somebody doesn't mean they're very good. See Rojo as a prime example of that, right? So I was thinking, I'm a pragmatist in both Fitbit and in real life. I try and make like logical, realistic choices. And if I was thinking, if I had our front three, would I drop any of them for Jadon Sancho? A front three that, as I told you 10 minutes ago, statistically scored more than Liverpool's front three, who won the league. Would I drop any of them for Jadon Sancho, who's never played in the Premier League? I know he was in the Man City youth team or whatever. That's only ever had like 1 or 2 seasons at Dortmund where he's done anything to worth in his entire career so far is a highlight video on YouTube. And I know that sounds harsh, but it is. He's just the next Wow Felix who went for £1 million and has done fucking nothing to merit it or deserve it. So would I drop Greenwood for Jadon Sancho? No, I wouldn't. Greenwood scored 17 goals last season. He was the youngest scoring teenager in the Premier League. No, sorry, the most goals for a teenager in the Premier League last season. I wouldn't drop Rashford for him either, or Martial. So you'd be spending 120 million for somebody that I wouldn't drop any of our front three for. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm seeing something differently. I don't know. But I'm not sold on Sancho as the world beater that Twitter makes him out to be. Just on them.
Especially not for that money. For that kind of money, you're looking for like a Ronaldo or something.
Right, but...
Or an Mbappe or whatever.
Aye.
Maybe not a Jadon Sancho.
No, I'm not saying he's no talented. That's obviously not what I'm saying. He makes his career playing for a big team. He makes his money playing for a big team. But he's 20 years of age and he's never won a thing. And why they could command that fee for him, I don't. And I know the fact that you've never won a trophy has no bearing on your ability, specifically as a football player. But let's no get carried away. He's the main man even in that Dortmund team. He isn't he? Haaland is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So why would we be dropping 120 million for somebody that's not even the main man in his own lineup? No, that I would accept. No, that I would still think you wouldn't buy Haaland for that price either. But the fact that he's the main guy in that squad, Sancho, isn't he? So I don't think we've.
If Sancho was from like a smaller country, say I don't know, like a Paraguay,
if he wasn't English,
would he still be 120 million? I don't think so.
No, it's because he's English. He's young and English, and that's just a fact. It's no xenophobic or racist or anything else. That's a goddamn fact of the game.
There's like facts behind that, like actual facts.
You said last night, Martin, we were talking on the group chat that you don't get carried away with hype, and I'm the exact same. I'm a pragmatist and a realist, and that sort of fee for a 20-year-old boy that's never done anything with his career so far. He's not even the main man in his own team, and it would make no sense. I'm glad Man United didn't buy him. I'm glad they didn't buy Dembele either because he's pish. Sancho,
I kept saying that all last night that he might go, and I'm thinking, why though?
No.
He's
Sancho
always
injured.
He's missed a trick with the real Dembele, to be fair.
He's,
Leon, nah. He'd have walked in.
Oh, right. There's that many Dembeles, isn't there? I forget what one.
Musa.
There's like 3 at Fulham, 2 at Tottenham. I lost track of who's who. Aye, there is the striker in it that played for Celtic.
Aye.
He is quite good. I would take him.
He's really good, to be fair.
He's not an improvement on the front three, but he adds depth. No. But aye, so I concede that Sancho's talented. I don't think he's a bad player, but I don't rate Dembele in the fucking least, man. I really don't. So I'm glad we never got him.
Especially when your issues are at centre back.
Exactly right. So there's a lot of players we were linked with, and I'm glad we never get any of them. I'm probably going to get crucified for that. If anybody on Twitter watched this show, they don't. So I mean, who cares? But it's a bad Monday because we didn't get any centre backs. We need centre backs. We need 2. We need at least 2. Anybody to replace Harry Maguire and somebody to replace Victor Lindelof. I struggle to understand why Upamecano wasn't purchased. Because I know he just signed a new contract, but I'm fairly certain there was a release clause in there that, off the top of my head, you maybe need to Google it, but I think was about 40 million.
I think around there, like 40, 45.
I would pay it. You would pay it. He's an instant improvement on the Man United defence.
Because right now you're playing with 9 players because your centre backs are terrible.
Where they're so even by on his end can't make a difference. He's good. He's not that good. He can't save everything he's in. So Tele coming in as an improvement because Luke Shaw's pish. As I say, he joined in 2014. Hasn't done anything yet. Barely been in the team. Brendan Williams was the first choice left back last season, who I quite like, but he's like 19, so he needs time. And that's the thing with a lot of other bigger names, like Rashford's 21. He's not the finished article yet. Martial's 23, I think. He's not the finished article yet. McTominay's 22. It's guys like Lingard that are 28 that you need to worry about in film.
Top young talent.
But that
Lingard might have the face of a child, but he's like a year younger than me.
That was highlighted in some of the signings that United went for, especially in the last day, because they signed that Ahmad Traore from Atlanta. Atalanta.
They got the boy for Atalanta. They got the young boy for Penarol.
Pelistiri or something. Pelistiri.
Which I've got to be honest, I've got to hold my hands up. I'd never heard of either of them. Never seen them play.
I'd heard that Traore. He's been, I think he's been causing waves in Italy for a while. But he's 21, like the next up and comer over there. Because he's like 18 years old.
So I definitely need to check some footage, but I've got to be honest, I've never heard of either of them. But
that's all well and good if they're building for the future, but what about United's here and now?
Well, that's what I'm going to get to, because they did make a signing that can affect the here and now. They signed Cavani on a free for 250 grand a week, and I covered his wages. His wages don't bother me, because if they're paying Phil Jones close to that money, they've got to be giving Cavani more because he's a better player. Now, nobody on Twitter's happy. I think I might be the only one that's happy that Cavani's signed for Man United, right?
You've been saying for years you wanted a Cavani.
Cavani's a world-class player.
All my family that are Man U fans, they're buzzing with it.
Are they? Right, I'm glad somebody else agrees.
Purists. They're footballing purists.
Purists.
Aye.
You see, here's the thing about Cavani, right? And I know he's 33, and people cite that as a problem, and he had an injury last season. That could be a problem. I don't care about his age. I don't want to hear slander about his age. Because earlier this morning, I compiled a list of players that played for Man United that played high-quality football well into their 30s. I'm not going to recite them all because there was quite a few. So I don't care about his age.
Experience as well in it at the highest level. You can't.
Right, exactly.
Teach that. It's something that you need to earn. Something that needs to be given.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So some of the names: Giggs played well into his 30s at a high level. Scholesy, Keno, Gary Neville.
Was Zlatan not younger? Not older?
I was like 34 at the time, aye.
34 or 35.
So
And
he was great.
fantastic.
He was great for United.
He scored 30 goals in our competitions or
Aye.
thereabout. He was fucking amazing.
Quite a
Him
similar
with
style as well.
Him with
Because they're
Arsenal
not
coming in his
like
30s.
going in behind her.
Yes, my
Arsenal
man.
coming in his 30s and played really well. Solskjaer played high quality football well into his 30s. Laurent Blanc, a name that no modern football fan will probably remember, came to Man United when he was 35. There's been a whole bunch of players that have played high quality football for Man United well into their 30s. But I'm not hearing this argument. And I'm a realist, right? So let's be real about Cavani and his credentials. I said I wouldn't drop any of the front three for Sancho, but I would drop all three of them for Cavani because he's a world-class football player. Rashford, Greenwood and Martial, only world-class yet. None of them are the finished article. Now, Martial can score goals, right? But his work ethic is horrendous. Rashford's the opposite. He's got a great work ethic, nowhere near clinical enough. And Greenwood is so far quite tight for an 18-year-old. Now, if Cavani comes in, right, and say he comes in and he's fully fit and he finds his feet, he's going to be the best striker in the Premier League. And I don't even, I mean, fully fit, right? He's a better player than Harry Kane. He's a better all-round football player than Harry Kane. He's a better goal scorer than Harry Kane. Now, the English might be covering their ears because, as we all know, that man is the sainted Harry Kane that can do any wrong. But let's be real, Cavani's better. He's better than Aubameyang, top to bottom. And the only one I don't put him over necessarily is Aguero. Aguero's a better goal scorer. I think he's the better finisher. But Cavani's better as an all-round football player than Aguero, in my opinion. He's a better worker, a much better passer. He's got a way better work ethic, and he can make more assists and things. Like if you watch, there's countless highlight videos of Cavani where it's not even his goals, it's his passes, and he's a striker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He comes, he grabs deep, and he works. He picks up the ball. He works. He makes plays. Aguero rarely does these things. So Aguero's the better finisher, right? But Cavani's the better player. I mean, because they're not always the same thing. Chris Boyd's the better goal scorer. Emmett Larson's the better player. You know what I mean? There's no always, the goals don't always make you better. Shia, Aguero, Cavani will be the best forward. Could be. I mean, like on paper, he's the best. He'll be the best striker in the league, I think. I'm delighted that he's the only highlight of the window.
I think that the boy Tellus for Porto, I think he could.
He's an improvement on Shaw.
Yeah,
he's good. He is good for what I've seen. And I think the Portuguese market is something that's there to be exploited. And
just ask.
You've seen it with Fernandez as well, because that's
a great thing.
There's that saying like there's diamonds in the mud. I'm not saying that the Portuguese league's bad, but just the way that maybe the English will view it, or English league fans might view other leagues, there's diamonds in the mud.
There's that was the other criticism about Cavani. He's PSG's highest all-time goal scorer, and they say, but Fitbit Twitter goes, but that's a farmers league. Is that what I fucking hear that? Think of some of the players that came out the French league over the last 20, 30 years. Zidane, Thierry Henry, David Trezeguet, Zlatan played over there, Neymar, Mbappe, Neymar, Griezmann, however many.
Buffon went there for a season as well.
Buffon went there for it.
Benzema as well.
Benzema, aye.
Look at every French footballer ever.
Every big French football player ever came for the French league. So we're supposed to discount Cavani now because it's somehow a farmers league. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. That's just nonsense. The fans of the Premier League have got this sort of... They're
arrogance.
Like gamers, aren't they? This fucking master race type
bullshit. Scott's bang on with the word that he used there. It's total arrogance.
Arrogance, aye. Complete arrogance. So far, I've seen nothing but criticism of the Cavani signing. I don't want to hear any of it because none of it's founded in reality. The only criticism that's got reality about it is the injury. Maybe he's going to be Falcao. Falcao came after he had a horrendous injury and was never the same. And nobody's heart was more broken about that than me because I was in love with Falcao. 2012, 2013, the best striker on the planet. Bar Ronaldo and Messi, obviously. But they were like wingers at that time, so I don't think they could. Barring maybe Zlatan, Falcao was the best fucking striker in the world.
What about you, Scott? What did you think of the Liverpool window?
I thought our window was much better than past windows because in past windows we've done literally zero transfers. But getting Thiago in was great. He's like, who did he play against? Chelsea. And he just showed his quality from half time onwards. And he just ran the game. Just it took that. Who said it was like? Was it Ancelotti that said top players? It doesn't matter what league they go to; they just play straight on.
Right.
And he just kind of proved that like instantly because he just ran the game. He would get the ball and put it straight over to Robertson, or he would put it over to Trent, and then we won the game like 2-0. I think
it was a great game to break him in because they were down to 10 men. They were kind of pressed back in their own half. So when he was in the middle of the park, it gave him a lot more freedom just to kind of maybe find the pass, because a lot of the time as well, it's other players getting up to speed with you. Because your vision can be amazing, but see if the other players aren't anticipating where you're going to play that pass, that's where sometimes the issues can lie. Cause it's all about like connections and kind of communication. Whereas I think when he had that space, that was able to be a wee bit intensified a bit more.
And he's played against Chelsea before, so I think he played against them last season, didn't he?
Aye.
So he'll have been used to playing against them. But like if he threw him in against like Burnley or something, or in the Villa game, it might have been a different story. But him and Tsimikas, he's quite decent as well. And Jota's had a good start. So I'm quite happy with our goals.
Yeah,
like 45 million might be a tad on the high side, but even then, a player of Jota's standing at 45 and Sancho being nearly triple that.
I know.
Would you say that Sancho was thrice the player that Jota is?
He's definitely no.
And
45 million, it might be on the high side, as you say, but it's going to come good if Liverpool are competing to try and retain the Premier League and competing in the Champions League. If one of your big people is done with an injury or a suspension, you're going to be glad you parted ways with the 45 million to get a reliable player.
Aye, and he's a lot younger than I thought he was. I thought he'd be like mid to late 20s. He's only 23.
Right, so that's a long-term investment because Salah and Nani are going to be there forever.
No, exactly.
They're on the later end at the spectrum. I don't know, they're both in their late 20s, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're 28.
Right, there you go. I mean,
maybe
by far,
29.
By no means done, but closer to done than closer to the start. You know what I mean?
Aye.
And we were saying earlier about flinging 40 million at a time at squad players. Not always a problem. It's if you're buying quality for that 40 million, which Jota is. But you compare that to the sort of 40 million that Man United like to fling at players. You're getting Schneiderlin. You're getting Anderson. You're getting guys like that. You know what I mean?
Because Jota will be a first teamer in the next year, maybe 2.
He's a long-term player.
Aye, but like signing Fred for 57 million pounds.
Fred was dearer than that. Fred was 65 million. He's the best. 65 million for a, and I don't hate him. I don't hate Fred, but he's no 65 million.
No, he's a side pass and a red card,
and a big smile.
He's a big smile. Aye.
He's always smiling. Most expensive smile in the world.
No, I think that goes to Bobby Firmino. He paid for that smile.
See, sometimes just listening to this as a Celtic fan, it's just absolutely mad. Because I was looking at the list, I wrote in like our signings throughout this window, and our biggest signing was a goalie for $6 million. That's a lot of money we partied with for him.
65 million for Fred.
The English game and the Scottish game are no the same, are they?
No.
Totally differently run.
Aye.
And that thanks, we were laughing earlier about Scotland being full of pub teams, and we're only taking the piss because I quite like watching the league up here. I don't follow any of them specifically because I've spoke for Hibs maybe.
Yeah.
But the quality of football is better than you might expect if you've never watched it. Like I was just taking
exactly.
It's much better than it's given credit for, and it's that way as well. We've got a market. Like obviously we don't have anywhere near the amount of money that English teams do. So what we kind of prey on is we prey on players that were good elsewhere, have went to a big team or a big league and not hit the ground running, and that was just shown in our transfer policy this year. Because we managed to get El Yunusi, who I think is an absolutely brilliant player. Because he was amazing for Basel, he was amazing for Molde. He played in like the Champions League and that, and then he went to Southampton, who wanted him to play a more kind of defensive role because he's more going forward, and it didn't work out for him. But we've managed to get him for 2 years for nothing because we had him in loan last year and we had him this year as well. And this is a guy who was a £17 million player, like 3 seasons ago. So getting that for 2 years for hee-haw is great business.
Yeah.
And it was.
You said Basel there. They Swiss teams is tricky. I hate drawing against them in Europe.
Oh, I hate playing Basel.
Stubborn fucker of a team, isn't they?
Basel beat like all British teams like all the time, don't they?
In Europe. They always do really well against the big British sides. So
Leon, they beat us. I'm pretty sure, was it Shaqiri's Basel or Mo Salah's Basel that beat Man United?
Salah.
I think it was Shaqiri's.
I think was it? I don't remember. I can't remember. I think that's the first time I've seen Salah. I don't remember.
I don't sure if that's when El Yunusi was there. I think he was there when they were playing like Man City because we got that Ajeti as well. Like he was good at Basel. And then he gets signed for West Ham, and then they hit the ground running. Obviously, because they've got that Haller for the Bundes. He used to play for Frankfurt, and he was really good in the Bundesliga. So they've got him, and they've got that Antonio as well. But two really good strikers in front of him. But then he's come up here and he scored like 5 goals in 5 games. In that sense, it's a great investment. And then we get Barkas, the Greek number 1 goalie. We get Shane Duffy as well, and we just signed that boy Laxalt from AC Milan. He played in the. He was at. It was the World Cup. He was played for Uruguay, and he got in the team of the tournament. So obviously, there must be a really good player in there.
Uruguay, the one with the cornrows or whatever.
Aye.
It
was like the worst Clark Kent ever. That's what him with his cornrows and his glasses, and you're like that. Come on, son. A shot with an S under it.
Folk forget about Uruguay now, but if you break into the Uruguay team, that's quite a big deal. They're a world-class squad.
They've got Suarez, Cavani, Torreira.
They won the first 2 World Cups. The first 2 World Cups ever held, Uruguay won them both back to back. Don't forget that. They've made World Cups in Spain. And England.
But it's that way.
And England.
I hadn't actually heard of him. I had to look at his CV when we get rumoured with him because he kind of came out of nowhere. Because it's that way. I watched Uruguay in the World Cup, but when you watch Uruguay, it's mostly, especially the defence, it's the likes of the Godins and the Jimenezes that you're looking out for. You're not looking for uncommon talent. You're looking for players that you know.
Yeah, established superstars of the team.
Aye, you look forward to watching them. But no,
we were him last year or the year before. It never happened. Golden.
That
would have been good.
Aye.
He is a player though.
He's a cracking player.
You would have sorted your defence out.
He would have.
Aye, he would kill Harry Maguire.
He would murder Harry Maguire.
Aye.
He's one of the players. We get linked with all these great players every year, and none of the ones you ever want come through. Like we were linked with Bonucci last season, and I know I'd have been all over that. I like Bonucci. But there's a long-running joke. Like I'm still waiting on Wesley Sneijder and Daniele De Rossi all these years later. Because every summer for about 12 years, we were linked with both of them, and it never happened.
Aye, Sneijder was every season, wasn't it? Same with Bale. You're linked with Bale every season.
Bale as well. And I think every summer for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been sitting going, right, this is the year that we get Bale. This is the year we're going to get Bale. Now I can stop doing that because he's left and he went to Spurs. So
you said at the start of the season. Well, at the start of the summer.
I did it at the start of the summer. I was like, this is the year, boys. Bale to United. We're close. We did move to England.
It's the opposite end of the country.
Yeah. So I can stop doing that now because now it's never going to happen. So, but we get Dan James instead. So
the better Welsh winger.
Yeah, as well, I know. To be fair to him, I think he will come good because he's like 19 or 20 or something.
And he's fast as anything.
He's fast as fuck, isn't he?
Aye.
I think give him time. He'll come good. I believe.
He just needs to work on his technical ability. I'm sure he'll be fine.
That's the thing. A lot of your names that are under scrutiny are on their very early 20s. You got to give them a bit of time. Giggs didn't walk out the womb as a world beater. You know what I mean? You got to give him a bit of time.
Aye.
But I think it's that way as well, where like the likes of Giggs. Giggs was kind of put in with a really good team as well, so I think that's the
Well, that is the
luxury
difference.
that these young boys don't have.
I think he was. Giggs broke into the team in, I think it was 1990 or 1991, one of the two. And he was straight in there with like Brian Robson and Brian McClare, and it's before my time watching them, but you watch the documentaries and you see.
That's when Mark Hughes was up front, wasn't it?
Mark Hughes, aye, that's what I'm thinking of. Mark Hughes. So he get flung straight in there with him, aye. So that's different. That's like trial by fire, isn't it? Getting put in with some of the best players in the country at the time.
Because that's it. Playing alongside better players will make you better. So like Giggs coming in, and when he was coming in, he wasn't like leading the pack, whereas the likes of Rashford and Greenwood, they're expected to be Man United's best players now.
That's it, innit? Rashford's our biggest. So Pogba's our biggest name, innit? But Rashford is supposed to be leading the front line, and he's 21, and he's never really been playing with the quality that, as you say, Giggs played. And you're absolutely right, man. What's the saying? Steel sharpens steel.
Aye.
I mean, that's the saying, innit? Giggs got flung in with that fucking shark tank and survived. Same with Scholes and Beckham and everybody else that come through. It might even have been worse for the rest of them, actually, because Giggs came in while they guys were still there. But Scholes and Beckham and the Nevilles and them, they came in as Ferguson was sacking all the old guys and replacing them with all the young players when nobody said it would work. Who was it?
Alan Hansen. You can't win Hansen with kids.
Exactly, you can't win it with kids.
In that regards, like that was a team that had played with each other most of their playing days. That core group, they never knew each other inside out.
They all come through the academy together and did the best manager in the world. Coaching them, so it was a different time. But it can happen. I just don't think it's going to happen to us again.
I don't think that could happen nowadays. Like, I don't.
No.
I thought it was going to happen. See when I seen Chelsea last season, and I seen what Frank Lampard was trying to do, I thought he was going to go down that route and what Fergie went down. He was going to bring them.
Just turned out that he lied to absolutely everyone.
Aye. We talked about last week, that was never Frank Lampard's plan. He came out and said that publicly because they had a fucking transfer embargo put on them. Of course he's going to publicly say
Remember they got it overturned in the January and didn't make any sign-ins.
Right. Of course he's going to say that. He's going to tell the young guys because he's getting nabbed about the young players to work with. Oh, don't worry. Even if I had Abramovich's open checkbook, I wouldn't replace you because youth is my philosophy. And they're like, oh, great, Frank Lampard believes in us. And then the first big transfer window where he's got Abramovich's billions behind him, he's like, oh, fuck you people. Entirely.
It's 300 million.
Hanging on anyway, like I call these fun coupons. I'll buy every Declan Rice.
That's how I picture it. I know. Abramovich told Lampard, you can have anybody you want. Lampard gave, and here's like an open checkbook. Lampard gave that woman that runs the transfers for them a shopping list. She's like, go and get these. And she would come back and went, got everybody on the list. Abramovich gives her the money, Lampard gives her the shopping list, and she goes away and gets all these fucking great players.
Well, she's not a great haggler, is she?
I don't know.
300 million.
I don't think they ever paid for any of the players except Kepa last season. I thought they got
I think we crucified Kepa enough last week, did we not?
I know. But I think with the players they bought this season, I don't think they ever paid for any of them. I think they did quite well. I think they did all right.
Just whenever I see 70 plus million, I'm always thinking, well, he better be one of the best players on the planet.
With Havertz.
Aye. He's good. He's really good, but
it's just funny, isn't it? Because in 2001, Zidane went to Madrid for Juve for 43 million, and it was the world transfer fee. Fast forward to 2018, the year of our Lord 2018, and Fred went to Man United for 65 million for Shakhtar Donetsk. So it's sort of funny, the difference, isn't it? In 2001, 40 million gets you Zinedine Zidane, the best player anybody'd ever seen. Or one of them anyway. Fast forward to these sorts of times, 40 million wouldn't even buy you Fred. You know what I mean?
You wouldn't even get Declan Rice for that.
No, you would not. You would not get Declan Rice for that. Remember when everybody went mental because Chelsea bought Shevchenko for 50 million? And on the other hand, you're like, it's Shevchenko, but they never turned out to be all that great for Chelsea. But you can see on paper why you would buy it, why you would do it.
Well, even then, like Raheem Sterling was 50 million. He looks like a bargain now.
Aye, sure.
That's true. Yeah. Can't believe he was the same price as Shevchenko, though. That's
And
crazy.
Torres.
And Torres. Even Torres gone for the same price as Shevchenko. Shevchenko's won the Ballon d'Or. In like the Champions League with AC Milan and that. I mean, no disrespect to Torres. It was great, obviously. Great for Liverpool. Great at Atleti, but he's not the same thing that Shevchenko was. For anybody that never watched football in the early 2000s and don't know who Shevchenko was, they're missing it.
Oh, that's sad.
He was fucking world class, man.
Well, Torres ended up being exactly like Shevchenko at Chelsea.
At Chelsea, aye.
They were both terrible at Chelsea.
Prior to that, they weren't the same thing.
No.
Here, is Fred no more expensive than what Kaká was?
Aye?
When Kaká went to Madrid. How much did Kaká go to Madrid for?
62.
Christ, Fred was dearer than Kaká.
That should be a game. How is Fred more expensive than? And then just name a player.
I just named some world beater for 10 years ago. He's more expensive than Kaká. That's shocking.
That is shocking.
That's actually shocking.
Fred is more expensive than Xabi Alonso.
Fred is more expensive than David Beckham.
Oh, Christ. That's so sad.
Mate, Michael Ballack was free. Michael Ballack was free. Fred was more expensive than Figo.
Oh, Christ. Fred was more expensive than Didier Drogba.
Oh. Fred was more expensive than Edgar Davids.
Oh my God.
We're playing Fred was more expensive than
Ronaldinho, wasn't he?
He was more expensive than Ronaldinho.
That was my next one.
Than Clarence Seedorf.
Fred is more expensive than Samuel Eto'o.
Oh. Even if you add up all of Eto'o's separate transfer fees,
I know.
Fred, how dear. Oh, Jesus.
He ran CR7.
He was.
No. R9. Ronaldo 9. Original Ronaldo.
Oh, so he was. Oh, he was dearer than Brazilian Ronaldo. Oh, that's the worst one.
Oh, that is the worst one.
That's shocking. Do you think any of the managers look at this when they're quoted a price and think, I remember when Zidane was 40 million. No, I'm not paying it. Zidane, maybe.
I'm better than him. I'm not spending that much on him.
Anybody list your Fred was more expensive than in the comments below.
Because Everton, they've just went and signed that Robin Olsen as well. How it was supposed to be the replacement for Alisson at Roma.
Right.
I don't know if that's a wee...
That would be good for them because when T-Rex can get out of the net.
Because Pickford's atrocious. I watched him at the weekend against Brighton and he was bad.
He like dropped the ball like right in front of him when there was like a group of players around him.
He was shocking.
Jordan Pickford.
I was just going to get to him.
Little arms.
Everton are not going to challenge. People are up in arms about Everton challenging for the top four and winning trophies.
Up in little arms.
You ain't going to win shit with Jordan Pickford in nets. I'm so happy he's the England goalkeeper. They ain't going to win shit with him in nets.
Because it's that Olsen. That's who he's just went to. Right. Because he was signed as Alice replacement. He was signed for Copenhagen. Played that season. It didn't really work out for it. I think he was alright actually, if you want to remember, but then they went and signed.
He was alright, but I think Roma weren't as happy with him because, they just got rid of Alisson.
Aye.
So like that dip down, I don't think they were.
But since Alisson's left, I think they've had a new goalie every season. They had him, and then the next season they bought that Lopez, and then they've got somebody. The last couple of games they've had somebody else in there, some 37-year-old Italian. I don't know if Lopez is injured or something. But
Roma should get that Mattia Perrin. I thought he was quite good.
Perrin was great.
He's 26. It's not like he's only 26. You could get another 15 years with him as a goalkeeper, especially in Italy.
He was solid as well. A solid goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm. Very reliable, Perrin. It's just a shame that he sort of breaking through at the time that Buffon has gone down, but fucking Donnarumma has appeared. So, I feel the same about old. Remember Rene Adler, the German goalie?
Yeah.
He can do it just as calm and Lehmann stood down, but at the apex, Emmanuel Neuer coming up. You're like, that's no chance.
No.
Adler was great enough. You could make a whole separate drinking game out of great German goalkeepers. It's a separate
Would be
list.
here all day.
They will be here all day, yeah. They make the best goalkeepers, Germans.
Aye.
Aye.
If you were to make a nationality kind of best 11, Germany's the keeper.
Italian defenders.
Aye. Italian centre backs, Brazilian
Italian
backs.
centre back.
Aye.
Aye, with the exception of Maldini, he was a fullback. And Franco Baresi before him, but that's before our time.
Probably a Spanish central midfield.
Mm-hmm.
Aye, I'll give you that.
Aye.
Brazilian attackers.
Aye.
Or some sort of South American attackers, like Argentine.
I'd probably say French. I don't remember the French ever having a bad striker.
You make a point there, actually. Big Henri and David Trezeguet. And even some of their like lesser strikers. Remember Djibril Cissé?
Aye.
He was quite good, man.
Cissé. He was fast.
Aye,
Great
he was
player.
your Louis Saha.
He loved it.
Aye, but Cissé was like our main striker.
Hmm.
We didn't have a Van Nistelrooy ahead of him.
Very true.
Aye.
There's Saha. He run alongside Van Nistelrooy and then Rooney. He was, however, a marked improvement
Heskey
upon
in
Alan
front of
Smith.
him.
He had what?
Heskey in front of him.
Oh, that's a running joke between me and Scott. That's one of the worst fucking strikers I've ever seen in my life, man.
What,
He was good with Michael Owen.
He was good for Liverpool.
Watching that fixture back in that day, the early 2000s, Man United Liverpool, you kent it was a fucking scoosh because you had nabbed up front by Michael Owen, who had toothpicks for legs and might have been injured anyway. If the ball came to Heskey, you're like, it's fine. Even though Barthez is patchy, he's going to catch this. It's fine. Remember, was it the 2006 World Cup or the 2002 World Cup? Heskey fell on one of the defenders in training and injured him.
It was 2006.
2006.
Because Heskey's last good season was like 2003, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think he moved to like Villa or something. He just got worse and worse. He was falling on his own teammates and stuff.
Who was it he took out? Was it Woodgate? I feel like it was Johnny Woodgate. He fell on Woodgate in training and Woodgate missed the tournament.
Right, because Woodgate's star was kind of rising at that point, wasn't it? And then he fell on him and injured him.
Aye. I'm sure it was Johnny Woodgate, man. Oh, Heskey was pish, though. That's the Liverpool I miss. Your entire squad was shite. Except Steven Gerrard. And even then, Steven Gerrard's just a crap Roy Keane.
Oh.
No. I was talking to one of my other pals about this lately. Right? I want to bring it up here. You know how that debate, the great debate in midfield, is always between who's better, Scholes, Gerrard or Lampard. Me and my other pal, Martin, shout out to other Martin, or Watson, we were talking about that. We're like, Roy Keane was better than all three of them. And I think, and I know you will not agree with that, and that's fine, I expect that. But folk forget how genuinely world-class a football player Roy Keane was, because we only remember his savage tackles, his attempted murder on people, and his bad temper.
It was overshadowed by his anger.
His actual play was amazing. He was one of the best box-to-box midfielders I had ever seen, and then when he lost his legs, he became the best defensive midfielder in the Premier League outside of Claude Makelele. So, I mean, Roy Keane was fucking outstanding.
That's a
Makelele. Fred was dearer than Claude Makelele. But there's a reason that Keano was the most expensive player in British history at a point. He was amazing. He was amazing.
He was a great player.
And he nearly went to Real Madrid. I don't know if you know that or no. Madrid came in for him that same Monday, 93. He told him to fuck off and he went to Man United.
There's a documentary about Roy Keane, about his time at the Ireland squad. He just told them to fuck off and he went off home.
Who was that with? Mick McCarthy?
Mick McCarthy, yeah.
He fell out with Mick McCarthy and went home.
Aye.
He went home to walk his dogs.
From what I gather about that was they turned up to training and that, and there was no bibs.
There was nothing there. The pitch was a mess.
They were playing on like rock solid ground because it was Damien Duff was talking about that.
Remember him?
Aye, because he was the assistant manager at Celtic. He was one of our coaches, yeah. He was there a couple of years ago, but then he left last year to join Ireland and set up.
Right. He was a good player, man.
No, he was great. he was
He's
what?
a surprisingly good player.
He's part of that unfortunate Chelsea class that sort of get pushed out when they became a billionaire team. Him and Jesper Grongjaer. Jesper Grongjaer was brilliant. I don't know if anybody else remembers watching him, but every time I seen him play, he get the sack for the Chelsea team and he went to Birmingham. And this is in like 2004 or 5, and he was still brilliant.
A lot of them did get pushed out when the money came in. Who was the striker? Was it Goodmudson or something?
Edgar Johnson.
Johnson. He was a great player, and then he just kind of got shoved up.
Him and Hasselbank together were brilliant for Chelsea, and then they became a billionaire team, and they got Crespo and Adrian Mutu. Fred was better than Hernan Crespo.
This is such a sad game.
This is hurting my soul. How could be on Roy Keane?
By quite a bit. Keno went for 3 million. Keno went for 3 million, and Fred went for 63 million. Bro,
Fred is more expensive than Henrik Larsson.
Fred is 60 million times better than Roy Keane.
That one hit me deep.
That's my hot take for the day. In their prime, Keno was better than Scholes, Gerrard, and Lampard. You're free to disagree.
Not better than all of them.
All of them put together.
All of them put together.
Fred's better than all 4 of them put together. Flinging Patrick Vieira and Nick Riley as well. Fred's still better. It's an honour and a privilege to watch Fred pull on the red shirt every week.
Fred was trying to eat someone during the game.
I can't even say that with a straight face. Again, I don't even dislike Fred. He's not that bad. He's just no £63 million worth of fucking talent.
No. And I think that goes back to what we were saying in like earlier podcasts with, I think it was Souness and Pogba. Like, you hear these numbers and you expect brilliance, and then they don't do anything, and that's where the anger comes from, because they're not justifying the price.
It's funny you bring that up, right? Because at least, how much did Pogba go for again? It's
89.
89 million, right? So there's not a huge amount of a difference between his fee and Fred's fee.
No, it's only like 25 mil.
At least Pogba had a reputation to sort of justify the fee. You know, he was a big player at Juventus.
So you could kind of justify it with shirt sales and stuff like that. Whereas Fred was a genuine nobody.
You could see it, right? Because Pogba, shirt sales, big player at Juve, and was still 23 or something.
I think so. 23, 24.
26. 26 or 27, and he played in the Ukrainian league for Shakhtar Donetsk. Now, no disrespect to any wayward Shakhtar fans watching this, but 63 million for a Ukrainian league player that was fucking 26.
They've just got some pipeline of Brazilian brilliant players joining them.
I don't know why the Brazilians go there and not Portugal, because they speak the same language.
There's a reasoning behind it. I can't remember. I heard something about it the other day, but there is a reason they all go to Shakhtar. I think it was to do with a link. But no, funny enough, see what we were talking about, that dinosaur getting sacked for Arsenal. Someone had just sent me it. It was Musa Ozil. He was saying, I was so sad that Jerry Guy, aka our famous and loyal mascot Gunnersaurus, an integral part of our club, was being made redundant. So they're actually making folk redundant while spending 40 odd million on party.
Fred was better than party.
He was.
If all the players love him so much, why don't they all give him a week's wages each? Set him up for life.
That's what I was getting to. After 27 years, as such, I am offering to reimburse Arsenal with a full salary of our big green guy, as long as I will be an Arsenal player.
Which is probably no for very much
6 months.
That's slightly too bad for slagging Ozil at the start of the podcast, because it seems he is genuinely a nice guy.
He's done that before, hasn't he? He's quite a charitable person. I'm sure he's done something else with charity before. I can't remember what it is now, off the top of my head.
I don't have a problem with Ozil the man. It's Ozil the player more, because he's
part of the problem.
Which I can kind of get, because he's won everything basically with Madrid, and he doesn't really need to play. He can just sit back, and him and Bale and players like that, they just sit back and take their wage back up.
You can see a marked improvement in Bale though. Like I quite like when you seen the footage of him sitting on the bench at Madrid. and he's lying with the wee face mask on,
His mask flat.
sleeping. You
He
get
was
like a
matching to go golfing and that, and then he was team photos like that and taking a swing.
he's sitting on the bench like reading a book or the paper or something. He just doesn't care. But now you see him in the fans at Spurs, and he's not fit yet. He's still got an injury, and he's like, like getting into the game.
Yeah.
Whereas at Madrid, he's sitting reading like a fucking novel or whatever he was reading.
I think he was just doing that to piss the Dan off, wasn't he?
Which I quite like.
Aye.
I quite like that level of, as you would say, shithousery.
Aye, shithousery, aye.
Shithousery's the best.
I seen see when before his deal even went through to Spurs, when it was just like rumoured he was coming over for the medical and that. Some guy put up on Instagram and it made like the trends in the search, but he'd already booked in for a game of golf with fucking.
I saw that.
The owner, what's his name again?
Daniel Levy.
Him and Levy had booked in for a game of golf together. He's not even signed yet, and he's already booked in for a game of golf. The man obviously just really likes golf. I mean, fucking fair play to him. He's won every club trophy imaginable. Except the Premier League. No. Except the Premier League. He's won everything in Madrid anyway. Aye. He won all that shit with Madrid, and fair play to him. Oh. I get it though, because I heard that the Madrid team fell out with him because in Spain they eat their dinner late. They go for dinner about 10 o'clock.
Aye, 9:10 is dinner time in Spain.
Aye, which is insane, I think. Bale refused to go because he's British and we eat our dinner at a reasonable time. I should have had my dinner before now. I usually eat my dinner at 4 for anybody that's won on. So he wouldn't go drinking with him and stuff. I don't really drink either. So I'm like, in my head, I just pictured Bale wanting to get an early night at bed and to lie with a lamp on and read a book. I was like, I get that. That's what I would do. That's how I spend my holidays in Spain. Am I supposed to hate that? Oh, come on, if you're dinner at 10 o'clock at night, don't get fucked. No. Because then it's lying on your belly all night, you're off full and uncomfortable. It's warm in Spain.
But then you get up, you have some breakfast, you go for a siesta, and then you go back out.
Like Sergio Ramos was taking the piss out of him because he wanted a reasonable bedo. It's the most British thing I've ever heard in football. His other teammates fell out with him because he wanted to go to bed at a reasonable time. Which is just brilliant.
Well, when I used to live in Spain, you needed a siesta because it was that hot.
Oh, I'm into minds with Spain. I quite like going, but I can only go at certain times of the year. See, like January and February and that. Because it's way too far.
But it's still 20 degrees.
It's still in the 20s, but it's better than 30 odd, isn't it? And Bale, bless him, he's a pale boy for Wales. I get it. I definitely understand where he's coming from. I'm not much of a golfer myself, but the early bedtime and the reasonable dinner hour, I can definitely.
I've never been a golfer. I can't even hit the ball. I've tried.
No,
I've never really.
I'm still getting my hole. It's an old man's game, innit? It's for folk that want to get away for the wives at the weekends. Because
well, did we have an original point to make before we get sidetracked with the Fred game?
Well, I talked about Celtic's transfer business. We've run around a circle because I think we were talking about the Celtic transfer business about half an hour ago. But my point about the Celtic transfer business was we signed 6 players, right? And the level of player we've signed has been great business because that Laxalt and Elyounoussi alone, that's £30 million worth of player that was spent, and we got them for, at least for this season, for free. So that when you talk about Sharibo business adventures, Peter Lawwell's got every cunt trumped. He's called Pistol Pete for a reason. The man does not like to part with cash. We've got Tab running our club. I remember there was a great story. It was a couple of years ago. See Stuart Armstrong when he played for Dundee United.
Right.
We were trying to sign him and we were being quoted 2.5 million for Stuart Armstrong alone. And transfer deadline day, he came back with Stuart Armstrong and Gary Mackay-Stevens for 1.5 million. The man can do business. And then we signed a very promising player in Scotland, that David Turnbull. We tried to get him last season, but when he was doing his medical, it discovered that he'd fucked his knee. So he needed 6 months of surgery or something. I've lost my train of thought. I brought this up because I just wanted to dig out Charlie Nicholas. For any,
I've heard something about him going in
I,
on Celtic.
He's a dick.
He's a little rodent.
I hate Charlie Nicholas.
I hate him, damn.
I can't stand the man. He's a prick's prick. He's a little weasel. Because what he was out and he was saying that Neil Lennon will be he was like Neil Lennon will be unhappy with the business that he done yesterday. And it's like he signed an international player who's played about 30 times for Uruguay, was in the World Cup Team of the Year. Like, how you,
for free?
Aye, for free. He's played in one of the biggest leagues in the world. Like, how are you going to be annoyed at that? And then he was going on about how Rangers have done better business than Celtic, and it was where are you getting this from? Because Rangers have signed 3 forward players. They've signed Kemaro Roof, they've signed that boy Itten, and they signed Innes Hagi, and Ajeti has scored the same amount of goals as all 3 of them within the month. It might not necessarily make him a better signing in the long run, because obviously they might come brilliant and might score 30 goals a season and he might just score 5. But we're basing it on what we've already seen. So you can't...
Well, that's it.
I can only base it on what we've already seen. You can't base it on...
Analyse what you watch, can you?
You can't base it on the fact that Kemaro Roof had a good year for fucking Leeds 6 years ago. It wasn't as good as 6. That was an over-exaggeration. But the point kind of stands. Charlie Nicholas, you're a prick. And if you're listening, fuck off.
Only fuck off.
That's a theme of these sports shows, isn't it? Every week on the sports show, they call some dude, look them dead in the eye in the camera and tell them to fuck off.
Aye.
That's the issue with most of those Sky Sports, like especially the old guard, like him. Who's the Arsenal one, the big fat one?
I don't remember.
Paul Merson.
Paul Merson.
Aye. He is a knobhead.
Was he not talking about the Cavani signing?
Aye.
He was trashing the Cavani signing.
And they're just these grumpy old men. And Charlie Nicholas has still got that one stud in his ear because he thinks the left one's the non-gay ear. You big fucking idiot.
Aye.
He's about 60 years old.
Aye. He looks like he's from fucking Boyzone. Nah, go away.
Aye.
You're not a silver fox. You're a man with grey hair.
We all know, and it doesn't even need to be said, but we all know there's only one person working full time in the Sky Sports studio that is worth more than 2 grains of salt, and that is the sainted Gary Neville, who was the best commentator in the world.
Jamie Carragher is good as well. They're good together.
I like Gary Neville.
I do.
It's Neville. But Keane's no full-time Sky Sports. Keane's sort of he goes to BT and that, I know. So Keane is the best pundit.
He goes to like BBC and ITV. He just kind of doesn't.
He's a bit of a hooer. You can't.
Keane goes everywhere. He goes everywhere and he shouts at everybody and makes everybody else in the studio uncomfortable. It's hilarious.
Do you want to know who's actually 2 awful commentators at Sky have? Chris Boyd and Chris Commons. But them 2 should be fired from a cannon.
Oh. See, when they have to do like the pre-match for any of the Scotland games or the just Scottish Premier League games, it's so boring.
Aye, because you're sitting there with the fat brothers of destruction. Can't you big up the Scottish game at all? They're only on that panel because they talk down it. Like Chris Boyd, the only way you hear that man speaking positive is if Rangers is on the telly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I tell you what though, since we're beginning about pundits, see last season, and I was at last week when United beat got them Brighton in the Carling Cup, whatever that cup is called now, Carabao Cup.
The Energy Juice Cup, I'll have you know.
Energy Juice Cup. Normally I get annoyed with whoever the pundit team is, but for that game it was Darren Fletcher and Andy Cole, and I couldn't have been any happier. It was very biased. 2 absolute legends.
It was very biased.
There's some wee woman, and they disrespect her. I don't know her name. So that was me Texas. I just don't remember her name. But she was sat beside Fletcher and Cole, who can eat for free in my house anytime they want. Same as Rashford.
Was it maybe a local?
It might have been.
Aye, because
some wee blonde.
Oh no! It's not that. It's not a local then.
To be fair, I wasn't paying attention to her. And I don't mean that in a negative way in the least. This is going to sound horribly sexist. But as soon as I seen Fletcher and Cole, I was just happy. So I wasn't paying attention anything anybody else said. I was
Aye.
like, it's Fletcher and Cole.
Aye, and that's not like a sexist thing. You
Wouldn't
could have
make
put
us
anyone in
happy.
that position, and then Blair would have just kind of focused on them two.
Aye, because they were two of my favourite players when I was Cole and Cole. I think Cole was the first name I ever got on a Fitbit jersey way back in the day.
Mine was
Because
Bobo
you
Baldi.
bought
Mine was Bobo Baldi.
Aye, Bobo Baldi was good.
Aye, see when you talk about defenders that would kill you, he was one.
I used to sign him quite a lot in the old Championship Manager games because his tackling stat was a 20 and his strength and agility were a 20. I know. So I was like, not only can he tackle you, but he's going to chase you down and kill you. That's what I want in my defence. So, hey, Celtic took me for $9.5 million for the fucker though. In the Championship Manager 03-04. Aye, $9.5 million for Bobo Baldi. Playing alongside Rio Ferdinand for my defence. It's a game of stats.
It is a game of stats.
Shout out to Championship Manager 03-04, the best Fitbit game ever made. To this day.
I don't know what else there is to say apart from our teams did shit. Martin
Our
Tyler's
teams
a
did
wanker.
Yeah.
Fred's more expensive than most of the football world.
And to any of the Man United fans that are listening to this, stop the negativity about Cavani. He's technically a better player than anybody else in our front line. So get over your heartbreak about Jadon Sancho. Stop getting excited that El Matador is here.
Yeah.
And he,
El Matador. It's a
El
strong
Matador. So start getting excited that El Matador is he's a world class football player.
It's like the one Alfredo Morelos has for Rangers. He's got a cracking nickname, El Buffalo.
Aye, El Buffalo.
Just as he's solid at the back, he's like a wee fridge, and he's an angry bastard. But you would probably like him, Blair. He likes to kick.
I'll need to check him out. You send me his name in the group chat. I'll check him out. Maybe it'll be an improvement over Harry Maguire.
Aye. He's
the thing is, he's a striker.
Aye.
Is he a striker?
Aye.
He's a striker.
He gets hundreds of red cards. He likes to stamp. He likes to grab.
I'm pretty sure he got 5 red cards last season or something.
Very good.
He's an angry little man.
If Martial goes down with an injury, we sign that boy in January. And then while El Matador is on the pitch, El Buffalo can be on the bench. That'd be good.
Right, Rangers keeping a hold of him, I think, is great business for them.
I think so.
It's that way. He comes with problems like discipline, but see when they get him playing, you've seen it last season. He is different gravy, and I always kind of tried to argue this the whole way through the transfer window with some of them because they're like, we want rid of him, and it's like, why? He's your best player. Like, the hell with people on Twitter say he is your best player consistently. Well, he has been for about 2 years. Why would you want to sell him in your biggest season?
Jermaine Defoe's good, but he's 38 now.
Aye, he's still sheltering. He's that fucking old.
Aye, you need the Buffalo.
Him and Alex.
So that should be our takeaway message for the day. Fitbit Twitter is 9 times out of 10 rang about literally everything. Stop talking pish. Be excited for El Buffalo at Rangers if you're a Rangers fan. And the rest of my United boys out there, the Matador is here. He's better than Nagalo. He's better than Tony Martial. I know you don't want to hear it, but he is. He's better than Harry Kane. I know you don't want to hear that either, but he is. Get excited. I don't care if he's 33. He's here. This might still be your year. It's a very different podcast if in 6 months from now El Matador has 25 fucking goals and we're top of the table. We'll all be singing a different tune.
New player sitting with an El Matador t-shirt like that.
I'm going to treat myself to the new shirt for my Christmas. I might get El Matador on the back of it. Not even the granny, just...
The biggest grin in his face and Harry Maguire's heat when I spit.
The season can be saved. Cavani up front, bring Rojo in for Maguire. The season can be saved. I tell you, it can be done. It can be done.
And Fred's more expensive than Celtic's last 10 years. And thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah, no, that's probably true. Fred will have cost more than the entire net spend for Celtic in the last decade. That's probably true.
It's painful.
The folk could criticise that, but Celtic have since won 9 titles in the last 10 years, so they're obviously doing something right.
Exactly.
Celtic have 9.
Red one.
Fred have 9. How many titles does Celtic have in the last decade? 9. How many titles does Fred have in the last decade? 9. Maybe he won the I don't know. But it's 9 now. Right. End on a positive. The rest of Man United fit by Twitter's raging about the transfer window. I'm happy Cavani's there. So maybe I'm the one. I don't know.
I'm
happy
over the
there's
moon
an
at the
international break so that they can just not play for the next week.
I
So-
saw
so
your players came out of isolation. Two of them have it. Thiago and Manny.
That's the thing though, isn't it? The international break's coming up. Now I've got, just to be finished being disappointed by Man United, I've got to watch Scotland get leathered for Israel in a Euro qualifier. That's going to be good. That's going to be fucking fun.
When is that? The night? Tomorrow?
This week, sometime.
I'll just check before we go off air. Just
So,
everyone
Nate,
at home.
me and Martin are going to be ranting like fuck about how pissed Scotland are in the next game. the
Aye,
next
if
episode.
he plays Scott McTominay at the back again, I think I might.
He should play Scott McTominay where he belongs, in the centre of the midfield. Consider this though, a Scottish central midfield of John McGinn and Big McSauce. That's a good midfield.
It's the 8.
Consider that for a second.
But it's not Andy Roberts in there for some
It's
reason.
at Hampden. The 8.
Is it at Hampden?
Aye, the 8th.
Oh,
When is the game?
The 8th. It's on Friday.
Friday.
so Friday.
Right, so on Saturday we can record this on Saturday and complain. We'll be moaning.
It's getting beat.
I'm lying.
Aye,
It's a Thursday.
The whole show will be about how shite Scotland is.
Aye.
But the thing is, we don't expect them to be good. That's the difference. You expect Man United and Liverpool and Celtic to win. You don't expect Scotland to win anything.
No.
Stat time. The last time Scotland qualified for an international tournament, 1998, the World Cup.
I was one.
We were 1 year old.
Aye.
The last time.
It's the hope that kills you, isn't it?
Aye.
Right, but we gave up our hope a long time ago.
No, we get viewed.
last tournament there was some hope to get to it.
Aye.
I say that I'm talking pish because every season, every time the qualifiers roll around, I get my wee Scotland tap on and I sit there on my couch and I'm like, right, we've got quite a good set of players here. This might be the year.
The group's not that bad.
Aye, Snodgrass is just the Scottish Ronaldo. He's going to be fine.
He's just scored to let us beat Croatia. Or we beat up the fucking Faroe Islands.
Aye, that's it.
And draw with Azerbaijan.
So we've got with the Scottish Ronaldo and Snodgrass, you get the Scottish Harry Kane and Lee Griffiths. Who is better? Fight me. Lee Griffiths is better than Harry Kane.
Harry Kane wouldn't have scored day 2 free kicks at Hampden.
Harry Kane
He
would
wouldn't
not score 2 free kicks at Hampden. No.
It's just a good thing Joe Hart's quite pish in it.
I mean, Craig Gordon was better than Joe Hart. So they've got the good people on YouTube. You've got a whole hour and a half's worth of ranting about how pish Scotland are at Fitba coming up. So don't miss that. Don't miss that.
Subscribe and hit the bell for it so you don't miss it.
And
so you don't miss 3 angry men complaining.
we'll see you on Monday.
Yes.
Aye.
Take it. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, YouTube.